Welcome, everybody. I'm joined by Westen, and we're doing something different today. We're going to talk about video games. So, I went to college with Weston, and he's recently started up his own video game site called Big Nerd Gaming. He's wearing the hoodie right now, and you can see it, but that's for later. But this is his site. It's pretty awesome. I was like checking it out, and I was like, I should get him on the show to talk about video games because I love video games. They're fun. I played them my entire life. I have so many thoughts about it. And I'm like, oh, we should talk about this stuff. So want to plug his channel. You guys should check it out. Big Nerd Gaming. It's in the video description. But we're going to go over the top 20, or not 25, top 10 games to be excited about in 2025. Weston, welcome, man. Thanks for answering my random message after like 15 years.
I was just going to say, I think it's been roughly 15 years since we've talked. So let's pick it up right where we started. No awkwardness, nothing. Just
hit the ground running. Just we got chemistry. Let's go. So
German. We were in a German class, so hello and
hallo.
Ich bin here or something.
Sollen wir anfangen? Should we get started?
That's all right.
So 2025. What's got you excited? What's the first one here to get excited about?
All right, the first one. This is my I tried to tailor this list for maybe a card game audience that might not like video games as much. But this game, if you've ever played a Final Fantasy game, this is a game for you. A lot of Final Fantasy fans aren't super happy with the direction of the series. It's gone away from turn-based. This is like the perfect mix of action and turn-based. Incredible art direction, like turn-based combat, but like a lot of action commands in there. So keeps you engaged with the combat. All-star cast. You got Ben Starr, who played Clive in Final Fantasy 16. You have Jennifer English, who played Shadowheart in Baldur's Gate 3. So my only concern is it's a new studio, first output from them. So you never know. But everything about this game looks like a winner. I think it's only even going to be like $40 or $50, which is pretty unheard of for a AAA game these days.
Yeah, it's interesting how there's sometimes these two tiers where it's like, I don't know why Astrobot was $50. I'm not going to complain. But like, it's like, does it get the $50 or $70 tier? I don't know. It's a mystery sometimes. It's how that decision's made.
I play a lot of games, and sometimes it's a mystery to me too. But I think being a new studio, they want, and I think you told me before, this is the maybe one game you hadn't heard of. They're trying to build that audience, and they know they're not coming in with the name recognition. So I think that's part of it.
All right, Expedition 33. Maybe we'll figure out what that means. What the 33?
Oh, there's a god figure that paints a number up in the sky, so it's 33. So everybody that's 33 is going to die in like whatever period of time. So that's the hook. That's the plot hook.
Well, I think we made it. we made it, man.
Yeah, we're safe. Me and you. It's been a few. So although we might have already died, like I think this has been going on for a while. So
yeah,
I think we're already screwed.
We're stuck in a loop. Actually, you're never leaving this video. All right, next on our list. I loved the crap out of Slay the Spire #1. This is such a cool game, and I'm excited to see it's getting a sequel here.
Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. It's going to be early access, but considering it's a card game, I don't expect it to be like, oh, it's only half the game. I'm sure it'll just be over time. They'll add more cards, more balancing, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's one of the greatest roguelike deck builders of all time. So you build your deck as you go. Kind of. So I'm sure a lot of your audience is familiar with those kind of strategies, but very fast-paced, very fun. One of the kings of the genre. No reason for this game not to be phenomenal.
I 100% agree. A lot to love about this. I don't know if there was a mobile version. I always played it on console, but it felt like something I wanted to be playing like on a commute or something, right? Kind of having it in my pocket.
Yeah, I wonder if it will, because I don't know if you've heard of Balatro. That was a big game from this past year. Yeah. Also a deck builder. That did come out in phone, and I mean it was at the top of the App Store for a bit. So I feel like if you're a developer of a card game like this, you should probably look into a phone app at this point.
I think there's been a cycle that happened where like in that mid-20 teens, like everyone rushed to have an app for their game, right? Mobile gaming was kind of like booming, and then there was a bust where it's like, actually, every game on your phone sucks. I think now we might be coming back to it again.
Yeah, I mean, as a huge gamer, I hate buying phone games, in general, but I downloaded Balatro, and if they put Slay the Spire 2 on the phone, I mean, that's a little dangerous, but
Yeah.
I'll make the journey. I'll do it.
All right. Well, let's see what else we got. Split fiction.
Yeah,
Okay, this is I'm intrigued by this art here.
yeah, I mean, you can kind of see the science fiction and the fantasy on both sides. I figure if I'm pretty hyped for this game. If you like, you know, card games, I assume there's a social element you like. Not a lot of video games that have that kind of social element outside of like pretty toxic stuff. But this is this one is like a purely cooperative game. You have to play with somebody. Although if you buy it, you can give a friend a copy for free. So you're playing as authors who get trapped in their own stories and they have to work together to get out. One is a science fiction writer, one's a fantasy writer. So the levels alternate between science fiction and fantasy levels. It's the same developer that made It Takes Two, which won Game of the Year at the Game Awards in 2021. So there's really nothing like it on the market, and it's high quality. So
Is it going to be cooperative and like split screen or no?
I'm not sure if it's. I gotta imagine it'll be couch co-op because they usually do things the right way. But like if you get a copy, they give you like an online code that you can let someone else use. So you only need to buy one copy, and then you can play with anybody.
That's pretty sweet. I really like couch co-op, and I feel like that we've moved away from it, unfortunately. And I think maybe we're returning a little bit. But I was like, why can't we split screen everything? TVs are bigger than ever, man. Like,
Right.
I can have 4 people playing on my 65-inch TV or whatever.
I've seen a little bit of it. I mean, this developer, I tried playing their game 2 games ago with my wife, and she's not a gamer, and it didn't go well. So I got to find a
I
friend.
had experiences of trying to play It Takes Two with a significant other, and it was just like really hard. It's like there's too much jumping and like timing, and it did not go well.
Yeah, she at the end she was like, "Why do you do this for fun? This is stressful." I'm like, I don't know."
Okay, this is actually pretty high on my list. I'm now excited about. It's a pretty cool premise. Avowed. Okay, this is another one I know very little about. Besides, I like the green guy. Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, interesting design there, I suppose. Yeah, this is Avowed from Obsidian. Pretty big RPG developer. They made Knights of the Old Republic 2. They made Outer Worlds, which might come up later. So it's a decision-based RPG. So you make a lot of choices that dictate the story and various things that happen. Combat looks pretty good. Like it looks like it's coming out February 18th. It's not right there on the slide, but yeah, it looks good. If you like Obsidian, if you know who Obsidian is, like it's pretty much a no-brainer. They are very consistently quality developer.
Which ties into the next one here. I loved Outer Worlds 1. It was like sometimes it felt like a jankier Fallout to me. Like not jankier, but you know what I mean? Like it just didn't have the same touch of Fallout, but that was like okay because the world was so interesting.
Yeah, Fallout has that like kind of turn-based. Well, I don't want to say turn-based, but it has like the stop mechanic VATS where the gameplay kind of sucks in both games, but Fallout has it where it stops, so it kind of feels better.
Yeah.
But Outer Worlds 2, they just did a gameplay trailer at the Game Awards, and I thought the gameplay looked a lot more crisp this time. It was a really funny trailer, which the first game was quite funny as well. They're saying about double the size, which the first game was, a good size, but I definitely would have liked more. So, really promising. It's kind of crazy, like that Obsidian might come out with 2 big games in 1 year. That's why I'm a little nervous that it'll get delayed, but this actually looks really good to me. And Obsidian makes the joke in the trailer that they're best at sequels, like that all their biggest games have been sequels over the years. So they're good at taking what they learned from the first game and improving. So I think this is going to be like a lot better than the first game. I'm pretty optimistic.
Yeah, I always, I mean, it's interesting how these like post-apocalyptic and like the Fallouts and the Outer Worlds, like they're funny games. Like Fallout's quite a funny game as well. Like if you sit and like listen to the dialogue, it's just interesting. It's like the genre of like post-apocalyptic, but it's not depressing. It's kind of like whimsical almost. Like the entire world is sort of silly.
Yeah, for sure. And this really like Fallout, like it kind of sneaks up on you in Fallout because like the intro is kind of, it's kind of dark, usually to start, and then as you get in, you're like, oh, this is kind of weird and funny. Outer Worlds is just straight up, they're just trying to riff the whole time. but they're good at it.
Which it's like something that's like when developers are having fun with something, it's good. It's usually good for the player as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is the ultimate example of a game where I feel like Ubisoft had like a break in case of emergency, make Assassin's Creed in Japan, right? That was like literally the button. Like we've had some crappy ones. Break in case of emergency, Edo era, Japan, let's go. It'll sell 50 million copies. That's what this feels like to me.
Yeah, I mean Ubisoft's in a little bit of trouble right now,
Yeah.
business wise. So yeah, this is. I mean, like this literally might be a make or break game for the company in a lot of ways. I think French shareholders are calling for some pretty drastic changes. So yeah, I mean, people have been asking for this game in Japan forever. Every gameplay concept looks pretty cool. You play as Yasuke as a samurai, and then also there's the ninja character as well. So nice mix of stealth and action. The early gameplay looks really good. Um, I like the newer Assassin's Creed with the big open world and the RPG elements, and they're just a little bloated sometimes, but I think they've done a good job of taking feedback in the past. So I'm pretty optimistic on everything I've seen. It's comes in a very crowded release window, but I think it'll still sell well and hopefully do what it needs to do.
Yeah, I don't know how you reduce that bloat. Like, I really loved Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I played that game endlessly, but I don't know how you deal with the bloat without taking. I don't know. Like, I'm like some of this stuff is very repetitive and sort of silly, but I'm gonna climb another wall and kill more guards, and then find the general. Like, it just you do that times 100.
Yeah, Valhalla, the one after that's where they really I felt like because I did most of Odyssey. Like I beat that game and I almost 100%ed it. Valhalla was just like outrageous. Like it was so huge. Like man, and and I played it on the last consoles where load times were starting to get kind of crazy before like the PS5 and the Series X came out. So that'll help too because I played Valhalla and I was just like, you have to fast travel all the time in that game because it's such a massive world, and it was just like 1 minute load times every time. It was a lot. So I think new technology and just hopefully feedback. I think they can make it work. I think it'll do well.
Okay. This is maybe I'm like thinking in my head like what are the buys, and so far it's a lot of buys.
All right, that's what I'm here for. Let's hype people up.
Get me hyped here. This game I didn't play the original one. I love Hideo Kojima. I just think this stuff is too weird for me.
It is weird, dude. There's
too weird for me, man. As a new dad, it's about like a baby. It's just too weird for me.
Well, man, I'll tell you what though, as a father, like if I played the first game before becoming a father, I don't know if it would have had the same impact on me. Like it feels weird, like the baby mechanic's really friggin' weird, but they somehow he's such a master storyteller. Like he somehow makes this concept work. And I hesitated to put this game on the list because, Death Stranding was a weird game. Like I have hardcore gamer friends that could not get into it because the critique is it's a walking simulator. Definitely elements of that. From what I've seen of the trailers, I feel like this is going to have a slightly more action bent than the first game. I think they're going to try and bring some new people in with that. I could be wrong, but just the trailers have been a lot more like gun and action heavy than I would have expected so far. But yeah, I mean, Kojima is the most famous developer in the world, I'd say at this point, and arguably the best storyteller in video games. So if he's coming out with something, it's worth at least trying.
One thing that's always fascinating to me is like I enjoy Norman Reedus as an actor, but like I don't think he's like the GOAT in the way that you know what I mean? It's like he's Daryl in The Walking Dead. I don't think he's like we need to have a show or a video game with him as the model.
Matt, I'm not gonna lie, I don't even think highly of him as an actor. I hate to say it, but he's probably the weakest part of the first game. And I think I've heard rumors he might have had like some limited schedule, for shooting that game. So like, there's just so many awkward spots where it's like, Jesus Christ, you're not going to talk again in this scene. You're going to say one line. Oh, it's because he's aloof and he lives in this world where there's nobody. No, it's still ridiculous sometimes. But Maybe they booked him for more screen time this time, but yeah, I mean, the other actors though in the first game were phenomenal. I forget who his name was, but a pretty famous actor played a pretty major role, and he actually I think won the performance nomination that year at the Game Awards. So they booked some good actors around him.
Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page there. I was like, what if he doesn't like this take? It's okay.
No, I took your take. I might have taken it too far, but I
mean,
literally
Norman Reedus. I get, even saying his name sounds funny. Norman Reedus. Is that
I've
his
heard
name? Norman Reedus?
he seems like a cool guy though, so I mean I guess that's worth something.
Yeah, I think he's a cool. He can be a cool guy and also just kind of like a typecast actor. Anyways, I don't need to critique him too much. Death Stranding 2 on the beach. That's such an unnecessary subtitle. On the beach.
It's I can't defend it.
All right, we have a couple left here. Ghost of Yotai. I'm psyched about this game. I beat the shit out of Ghost of Kashima. Tsushima, yeah. I'm stoked for this.
Yeah, I mean, Sucker Punch, that was like their first foray into that kind of game, and it worked really well. The funny thing is I actually had a fair amount of critiques on that game in terms of I didn't think the open world was that great. And the combat is really like visceral and cool, but not as much depth as maybe some other action games. But Sucker Punch has a good track record. I believe, gosh, I'm blanking on this, but I believe they made the Infamous games.
I think they did make the Infamous game.
They did. And I remember Infamous 2 being significantly better than Infamous 1 for me personally. So I feel good that they're going to take what they learned and go to higher levels with this game. You know, they got that track record now. And man, that first game, like you could play that today, and that came out almost 5 years ago now. It's still one of the best looking games I've ever seen. Like the intro is one of the best intros you could ever ask for in a video game. So it should be great. Like that's almost a no brainer. Like we were talking about Assassin's Creed. There's like a couple things where we're like, oh, I hope they don't blow it. You know, this game, there's almost no way it won't be good.
Yeah, I agree. I think as far as like what's a guaranteed 9 out of 10, aggregated score, this feels like a guaranteed 9 out of 10. From the critics, I could see it having a 6 out of 10 from the audience because they have a female protagonist. That's a whole box that I don't want to open up here, but like, guys, get over it.
I didn't bring it up for a reason, Matt, but yeah.
I'm sorry. You made it to this point in the video.
Yeah, they're everyone's cool now. We're all cool, right?
Yeah, only the cool people are left.
Yeah, no, people are freaking ridiculous and crybabies, and yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fun.
Yeah,
it's the same controversy with Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I also did avoid.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, wow, my God.
Yeah, well, you have Yasuke in that game, so Black Samurai, so people get offended, and then the ninja is actually a woman in that game too. So it's just video games are ruined, Matt.
Speaking of video games being ruined, perfect transition here.
Yeah. Right.
GTA 5 is like the biggest cash pig in the world.
Yeah, I think I saw an article today that they've spent $2 billion on this game, but they're expecting $3 billion in the first year. Like, pretty crazy ROI, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be real. I'm on your show. I'm making this list. I felt compelled to put this on here. It's probably not in my personal top 10. I have a lot of. From a storytelling perspective, I have no doubt it's going to be great. From graphics and just like a detailed open world, I'm sure it's going to be awesome. I'm just worried about the core gameplay. I mean, there's some great open world games have come out. I mean, Cyberpunk 2077 has like one of the best open world gameplay structures I've ever seen. Can it live up to something like that? I mean, it's not science fiction, but kind of in my mind, that's what I'm comparing it to. And I'm concerned, but it's an event. Like a GTA game's an event. Like all the people that don't play video games, like they're gonna play that game. It's a social event, and it's gonna do some amazing things, no doubt.
Yeah, I guess I'm getting Vice City vibes from this, which is good. Vice City was, I think, such a strong game. I guess for me as a setting, like I don't really enjoy the modern setting very much because I have to live through it myself.
Right.
And I don't really need to cosplay living in like just a nicer apartment than I live in now, like being able to steal a car. Like I'd rather go to like a fantasy place or like the future
Right.
or the past or whatever. To me, that's what I like in gaming, and I don't really just want to like deal with traffic as I need to go like do a pickup to then drop it off for my boss, who I'll kill in like 2 hours. You know.
It, it's a great point because I mean you don't see a lot. That's almost what makes Grand Theft Auto unique at this point is that you just don't see a lot of open world games in a very modern setting with normal people. You just don't. It almost makes it its own thing, which for a while there were so many copycats that it wasn't a big deal, but now everything's sci-fi, fantasy, future, or like just I mean even like what the main competitor to these games now are maybe the Mafia games, and I mean those are obviously not modern day settings either. So yeah, it's we'll see.
It's going to make uh, an insane amount of money.
Yeah.
Good for Rockstar. And they're still going to run GTA 5 probably and have microtransactions of teenagers buying like skins on their parents' credit cards. And, the world will go on.
Whether we're into it or not, the investors will be happy. So
Yeah.
that's all that really matters.
All right. Our last one, this is a bit of a cop out, but we're getting a new Switch maybe Metroid Prime 4. There's always like mystery indie games floating out there. What's kind of your take? Are we getting a new Switch, Metroid Prime 4, mystery
Yeah,
indie game?
it's a Switch 2 seems inevitable to be announced this quarter. I've seen stuff all over the place about when it'll come, but it's you're starting to see some leaks. It's coming. And I mean, like I can't even list any Nintendo games besides Metroid Prime 4 right now because there's like just literally nothing announced right now. So it's definitely coming. They're not going to go a whole year without releasing anything and not making the fat load of cash they're used to making. So that's definitely on the way. Um, and then in terms of indie games, I mean, yeah, I just wanted to make the point. There's always surprises out there. We mentioned Balatro earlier. Not on my radar whatsoever at the start of last year, and that kind of took the world by storm. I think it's sold well over 3 million copies now. So, and that was a one-person team. So that's the beauty of video games. There's always surprises. Every year there's stuff I have no idea what it is, and it just randomly shows up and is awesome.
Well, I think that so many big studios are concerned with graphic fidelity that sometimes they lose the plot with creativity and actually having a story like Disco Elysium is like one of my favorite games. Elysium, whatever. Like, but that game, zero graphics, but like a cool story. It's not for everybody. It's for maybe 20% of gamers. But like I was like, oh, this is a cool story, really fun RPG. I want to call it that, but like they didn't care at all about the graphics, or I guess they chose an art style which didn't require $100 million like Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, these games are kind of at least a pathway to the future because we're seeing a lot of these AAA studios really struggle because development time, with this fidelity, development times have skyrocketed, costs have skyrocketed. So I mean, these indie games, I was just looking at my top 10 games of 2024, and like I had two games from people that were solo developers on that list. Like it, and they were innovative games, and one of them has pretty good storytelling too. Like the indie games are, because of the risk, the AAA games you're going to keep seeing the same. They have certain frameworks they have to work within. While indie games can do whatever they want within their vision. So that's the beauty of them, and that's why every year there's always like at least 3 indie games on my top 10 at the end of the year.
It's exciting to sort of have the big studio sort of shaken up a little bit, I think. Okay, so in closing, 2025, the preview here compared to 2024, I feel more excited about 2025 than I did looking back at 2024, which I think was a pretty good year in gaming. But what's kind of your vibe on 2025?
Yeah, I actually did this research earlier, and I used a site called Open Critic, which aggregates game reviews. And 2024 is one of the best years ever. Believe it or not, I mean, we have so many indie games that do well. That's part of it than we used to in the past. But yeah, I mean, 2025 looks nuts. Like from a AAA perspective, like from just maybe more a casual gamer perspective in particular, like there's tons of stuff. February this year has like 6 games coming out within 2 weeks that I'm interested in. 2 of them were on this list, but there's many more like Monster Hunter, couple others. Like these are massive games that are expected to sell millions and millions of copies, all coming out within 2-3 weeks of each other. And that's just February. Like we're going to see the release window get more packed as we get into March, April. So I think 2025 could be historic. I'm pretty excited about it. I think you're on the right track.
Okay, guys, you heard it first here. We're gonna wrap up there. Where can people find more of your stuff?
Yeah, I'm Big Nerd Gaming on Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky. And then bignerdgaming.com is the website. But following me on social media is probably the easiest way to stay in touch.
Great. And I'll leave a link to all that stuff in the video description. Thanks for hanging out. If you like this new takes, let us know. We're happy to do more of this kind of content. This is a test balloon to see what people like and what people want to learn a little bit more about. But this was a lot of fun. Weston, thanks for hanging out, man. And we'll catch everybody next time.